We got Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland, man. Call Big Mouth. This is a bad blood matchup, man. This is an absolute bad blood matchup. But what's really interesting about it is that this feels a little trap game-ish to me. And, you know, folks, if you're in the MMA and you don't know what a trap game is, it's like when you got a team that's killing the game in football or whatever, and they're completely expected to just annihilate the other team that they're facing off against, and they lose. Why? Because it was just perfect scenario for the other team to win. One opponent came in just kind of overestimating their own capabilities and just didn't take them serious, man. And you can't be thinking ahead. You have to be focused on the task at hand if you want to compete at the highest level, if you want success at the highest level. So, listen, man, AJ, am I wrong in feeling that Derek Brunson has an incredibly high likelihood of winning this matchup? Like, does that feel like the wrong thing to think about in terms of this matchup?
No. I think that's smart because he does. He really does. And and I'm not a fan of Brunson at all. I'll be honest with you. When I think Brunson, I think of a boring wrestler. But he's been proving that he can mix it up. He's been proving that his hands are there. He's been proving that he's able to, like I said, mix it up, which is, I think, one of the biggest things. Because when you're watching a wrestler just try time after time to take down, it's like, oh, man, again, like, oh, my God, like another takedown. Jesus Christ. But Derek Brunson, one of the biggest things I like about him, he's also down to when he goes for the takedown, when you're coming back up, he'll go for your head. Literally throw full-on heat to your head. Sometimes overextend a little bit. So he's getting a little better. But, I mean, I do think he's very talented. And I think as long as it's a lot harder, especially because in the media's eyes, this is, like you said, what have you done for me lately? Yeah. And it's not really as flashy as Kevin Holland has been lately. I mean, the Ian Heinisch fight, that was a drag-out fight. But I think if he did better, he could have got a finish, and that would have been a little more exciting. The Shabazi and ground and pound, man, that was a fight that kind of put him on notice. It kind of gave him a little bump. But compared to Kevin Holland, I mean, just look at what he's done. You know, the Shabazian knockout versus the Ronaldo Souza knockout. I mean, they're not even in the same league. What do you think? Why is Derek Brunson being underappreciated? Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, because when he's gotten to the pinnacles, this is what I was saying on the betting show this week, man. When he's gotten to the pinnacles, right? You know, he's got the big name like the Jacare Souza, the Israel Adesanya before Izzy was actually Izzy, right? When he got those names, he kind of always folded under pressure. You know what I'm saying? He was never able to capitalize on the moment, which then thrusts you into gatekeeper status because it's like, all right, you're not really ready for that top 5, top 3, right? But you can handle everybody else. You know what I mean? And listen, I think that Derek Brunson, he's also not a big talker like Kevin Holland. And we have to be honest here. Kevin Holland, part of his appeal is that he's so confident. He's uber confident. It almost rubs off on you and it makes you want to be confident for him, even though these are just words, man. None of this matters. What matters is the talk when you're in the cage. That's what matters. Talking with these. And if you're Kevin Holland, you're talking while you smashing them with these. So I just think the reach is going to be an issue here for Derek Brunson. So he's being discounted in this fight. I think in terms of mental warfare, even though Derek Brunson is playing this off very smoothly and saying, oh, Kevin Holland, he's not even getting in my head. I think he is, man. And so what do you think, man? Do you think that we're all as media and just people looking from the outside in, we're thinking that Brunson is shook, but Brunson's really like, come on, bro. You're not even the baddest dude that I've fought. Like, I fought real killers. But so is Kevin Holland at this point. He just knocked out Jacare terribly. Way worse than... well, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, Brunson, he lost. He got knocked out to Jacare. So it's like, all right, well, Kevin Holland knocked him out in a round. Jacare knocked you out in a round. MMA math, once again, Kevin Holland wins. So he's up on the scoreboard on that one. What mistake do you anticipate Kevin Holland making in this fight that could cost him big, man?
I think that there's one mistake Kevin Holland has the potential of making, and it's what you were actually referencing before, is that he can underestimate Derek Brunson. Mm-hmm. I think if he does that, I think if he thinks it's an easy night out, it's going to be a long night, man. Derek Brunson's nothing to scoff at, and that's the one big thing that I was actually noting down. If a lot of us, even me, I won't lie, I'm underestimated Derek Brunson. I think he's that gatekeeper. I don't necessarily think that he's out there going to be the champ, fight Izzy again, take him out. I don't think he's going to get past Kevin Holland, give up the pick, you know. But it's one thing I like about Kevin Holland is he keeps it fun. Yeah. Because he's talking all that smack, he's hitting you, and even if he gets hit, he says, like, you know what I said? Like, he's back and forth, and I think that's what engages him and what keeps him interested in fighting. And when you have that, that's really the key to having longevity in the game. I think if he's going to mess up, it's going to be him underestimating him. What do you think?
I think one thing that he can do that would be terrible for him, but he's already said he's going to do it. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but he says that the game plan is to counter Brunson's jab with the overhand right, stuff a takedown, and then shoot for his own takedown. And I'm like, all right, bro. Well, you can shoot for your own takedown, but why would you just stay away from the ground? I know he's like a blue belt or like a purple belt under Travis Lutter, right? You know, right on. Shout out to you, man. Get your work in. But he's already said it. He was like, my biggest weakness is my wrestling. I hate working on wrestling, but I do it anyways. I just think that his overconfidence is what makes him win, but it could also cost him big. So when we saw his 2 losses in the UFC, Kevin Holland is 8-2 in the UFC. Very, very impressive. But his 2 losses have been to Brendan Allen and to Thiago Santos. And what's the common denominator in both of those fights? They took him to the ground, put him on his back, and there was nothing he could do about it. Now he says, this is how I will counter Derek Brunson's, when he takes me down and puts me on my back, I'm just going to slap him in his ears, which is very highly effective. No, literally, like you'll burst someone's eardrum doing that, right? So he's just like, I'm just going to keep slapping him until the ref says I can't anymore. And I'm just like, all right, not going to win a fight that way. You know what I mean? Not going to win, not by the judges' scorecards, but I guess, if you're just trying to inflict some damage or whatever. I think that Kevin Holland, I think he's going to knock Derek Brunson out. And here's the reason why, man. First off, the reach, like I talked about before. And also, Kevin Holland, his striking, he's this kung fu background, and he talks about it all the time. He's reacting. The entire fight, he's simply reacting. He's not trying to force offense. He's just looking at what you're doing. Okay, pap here. And he's that dude, once again, who has precision that translates to power, right? When he knocked out Joaquin Buckley, one hitter quitter, you know what I mean? Wipe your boogers. Dink, right hand, go to sleep. And he did. And that's all that it was. We look at his last 5. First round knockout against Souza, right? Very impressive. Charlie Ontiveros, I don't think we can really count that. It was a short notice replacement. Dude got slammed on his neck and couldn't continue. So I guess we'll call that a knockout, round 1. Split decision versus Darren Stewart. Now that's interesting because Stewart can wrestle. He didn't look very good versus Anders, you know what I'm saying, last week. But nonetheless, that shouldn't diminish the win. It was a split decision win. Controversial. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe go back and watch the fight. I don't know. But then, like I said, knockout round 3 versus Buckley. And then he got a first round knockout on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, who just submitted Rodolfo Vieira. So it sounds impressive. Last 5, man. He can do no wrong. But he's fighting a southpaw. And off the top of my head, I can't think of how many of these fighters are southpaws. Maybe Darren Stewart might be a southpaw. But he lands a lot of strikes, man. And yeah, man, I don't have too much to say in terms of, like, I'm trying to think about how can I make this interesting in terms of, like, how can Brunson win? And I think literally the only path to victory is taking him down and holding him there. And I think it's going to be really boring and no one's going to like that and all that good stuff. But ultimately, man, my pick, I'm going Holland and I'm going to go knockout, man. I'm going to go knockout. And the reason why is because Holland says, he's like, I'm not trying to fight for 5 rounds, bro. That's not happening. So I'm thinking 3rd round knockout, man. I think that Brunson's going to wrestle a lot. He's going to try to wrestle. Holland's going to, every round starts on your feet, and Holland's going to come out in that right hand. I think it's going to be by the right hand. So I don't know if I get bonus points if he knocks him out with the right cross, but hey, listen, just remember that I said that. Give me your pick, AJ.
I'll give you bonus points. Why not? Yeah. No, I'm going to Kevin Holland by knockout as well, except I'm going round 2. I don't think it's going to be that long of a night. Like I said, I'm underestimating Derek Brunson. I do think Derek Brunson can win by holding him down. And we actually saw, I was really trying to find where Kevin Holland looked his most exposed, and that was that keeping the back on the ground and doing the slaps to the head against Darren Stewart, and he could have lost that fight. So we'll see. Maybe that happens, but I'm going KO round 2, probably a right hand as well. That's what it is.